Alright, today we're back in the BMW E46, and I believe we got motor mounts that have gone south on us. We got a lot of vibration, and so I was hoping we could take the car for a ride and either get a sensation of that vibration and maybe represent it on camera, maybe not. So we're going to take it for a little spin and see if we can capture that. I've turned the steady shot off this camera, and I'm going to see if that may help us as well. So when we get to a little spot here, we'll do a little demonstration. Usually when you're not in a power band of the engine, it's not quite as bad. But when when the RPMs are at the lower end and you're kind of powering through a gear, that's when you can really feel it. I can feel it in my feet against the floorboard as well as in my seat, and so that's kind of the sensation of those rubber mounts being have deteriorated, and the engine is actually probably just sitting kind of right on the frame. It'll have a little bit of rubber there, but it's just not doing the rubber isolation that it should be. So we're going to get here to a place where we can kind of power through some things and see if either you can hear it on video or possibly see a little bit of it. Yeah, when the engine RPMs drop down kind of low and you're powering up through a gear, I can hear the door jamb shake a little bit. So and the vibration is in sync with the revs of the engine. So it's definitely like an engine vibration that is proliferating around the whole car. So we went ahead and knowing that's pretty much what it was, we were going to try and capture on film, and but we went ahead and bought those rubber mounts. We got both the engine mounts as well as new transmission mounts, so we're going to get those installed today. Okay, so here's a quick look at the bushings that we're going to be placing. Here's the motor mounts. Got a stud on both top and bottom, and so we'll be removing a nut from both of the top and the bottom to get those off, as well as here are the transmission mounts. Again, studs on either side of these mounts, so we'll have a nut that goes on top that we'll be removing. I'll put a description as to like part numbers of what I'm using for these, and then in the description below the video I'll put a link as to where you can pick those up. But what we'll start with is before we lift the car up, we're gonna open the hood up, and we're gonna get to the top side of these motor mounts. We'll go ahead and get these nuts off and get that prepped, and then we'll lift the car up and start working from the bottom. Okay, we're going to start off here on the passenger side, right down beside the engine. If we look right down there, there is the top of that first nut we need to get loose. That's a 16 millimeter. We're going to reach down there with a bunch of extensions and impact wrench, and we're going to get that knocked off. Okay, for the driver's side, it's located also down beside the engine, and if you look right down in there, you can see it. I'll put a little arrow on that. Now, ours is going to be a little easier to get to because we've got this aftermarket air intake already here. Now, if you've got the standard intake, you're going to have to take that air intake off to get down to this area, and I've got a video where we actually installed that air intake, and I'll put a little link there in the cards so that you can see that. That'll give you directions on how to take that other part off. So, but we're going to reach right down in there and get that other top of that bolt off next. Okay, next, to be able to reach the access to the bottom side of those motor mounts, we're going to take off this plastic rock shield. So we're going to take this off. There's 6 bolts, 2 on that side, 2 in the rear, and then 2 along this side. Okay, so we've got this car jacked up. I've got the camera just behind the driver's wheel. This is the driver's side of the engine. We're looking back forward, kind of forward to the front of the car is this direction. And here is the bottom of the driver's side motor mount. We're going to take that 16mm bolt right there off. That'll free up this motor mount. Don't mind the cat. Okay, that was pretty easy. Now we're going to move over to the passenger side. Let's get that one off. All right, so now we're just behind the passenger wheel, looking back toward the front center of the engine. And point to that bolt, Austin, we're going to take out. We're going to take that bolt right there out. Okay, go ahead. All right, the next thing we need to do is lift this engine up to get all those old motor mounts out. There's a couple ways you can do this. You can put a jack under the oil pan and lift it up. It happens to lift, it kind of turns a little bit sideways. It's hard to get the passenger one out that way. I happen to have this little cherry picker, and I thought this would be a great opportunity. Right in the front of the engine along the top, there's actually a loop right there that is used to pull the engine out. So we're going to hook to that and just kind of lift up a little bit and see if we can get those pieces pulled out. All right, Austin's going to lift the engine up, and so we're going to be able to free this motor mount right here. We got the bolt off the bottom and the top. So go ahead and start lifting it up. Let's get that, see where that becomes free. Uh-oh. I see, oh, we got a broken motor mount here too. Keep going up. Let's see what's going on. A little more. A little more. Okay, hang on right there. All right, let me get this. I gotta move the camera and that type of stuff and get. Let me get this out, then I'll show you what we got. Okay, so after pulling this bracket off, here's our passenger side motor mount bracket. What we found is it only had two rear lower bolts on it. The top two bolts were missing, and because of that, it drew enough stress. It just cracked the whole bracket. So, and then here's a look at the original bushing that we took off the car. And I'm gonna move this stuff over and show you. Compare that bushing to here's the new one. You can see how it's deeply compressed, as well as it's just hard as a rock. And so I think that's just where, you know, maybe fatigue or actually age of the rubber is gonna. By getting a newer bushing in there, it's got a little more life to it. That's going to help solve our problem as well, but mostly the bracket. And then also, by today, we stopped by a junkyard. Online, those brackets they're about $45 if you try to buy a new one, or I guess it would be a new one. And this one we got at our local pull-apart for $10. All right, so we're back over on the driver's side again, behind the driver wheel. And here's this. We got the engine lifted with the hoist. I'm going to reach in here, see if I can get this. Yeah, that was super simple. Alright. Again, it is not destroyed, but it is a lot shorter than the other one. Because this side looks like it's fine. Yeah, we'll go ahead and get this one reinstalled. Okay, so here's our new one. Let's slip that up in there. Okay, so I got this bolt just on here kind of tight, just snug so that this thing won't fall off. It'll stay in kind of position. The little extra tit that's in there, it's in that little hole there. The problem is when I reach up here, I can see that the top stud does not line up with that top motor mount. So the engine's actually have to go this way a little bit. We maybe will persuade it with our cherry picker. I'm going to leave this alone for now. We're going to leave this like it is, and we're going to move back and let's get the transmission mount swapped out.
All right, now we're going to take this cross brace here off, and so what we did is we went ahead and we jacked up the transmission just a little bit just to put some pressure on it so it doesn't fall. So this cross brace, it's held on by 2 bolts here and 2 bolts down here, and these bolts down here are behind this heat shield a little bit. So we're going to have to bend that to kind of get to those, but we'll be fine. Another thing is there's 2 bolts that are holding in the bushings right here.
What size is that?
This is a size 13.
13 millimeter, okay. So now we can see these bushings that we got to get off. Now we got to take the nut off the top side of that. Yep.
There we go. That thing's stuck.
Okay, let me just see like it is. Let's just a quick look at this, and that actually doesn't look all that bad. It was squished with all the weight of the transmission on it, but now that it's kind of reformed back, it actually is not bad a shape, but we are going to replace it.
Let's see if I can just get it by hand.
Okay.
Might be just enough to split it out.
Okay, so this, the flat side goes down.
Yep.
And the side with the little tit right there goes in, and the tit goes to the back of the vehicle.
Yep.
Because see, that's where that fork ends. It just slides off. So let's get take that nut
Because
off.
that tit's gonna sit right there, not allowed to
Yeah,
spin.
there you go. So get that nut off, and let's put it on here.
That goes on the tit side.
And actually hold that still. Let's compare these two real quick on. Yeah, there's not that much.
Wait, hold on. Face it.
Hmm?
Nope. 90 degree, right? Never.
Yeah, so they weren't in bad condition, but let's get those swapped out.
that good?
One little more.
A little more.
Okay, that's good.
There we go. Is that good?
Okay, that's good. The nature of that, it does not want to try and come off, so the way it's configured after you get all these braces on stuff. All right, so let's get this cross member back on. Well,
Mm-hmm.
okay, before you get that too tight, go work on that other side.
Alright. Then we're going to get this one all the way on.
Mm-hmm. Good. Okay, now bend that shield up.
Good?
Mm-hmm.
Is that good?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
There we go.
Now get the center too.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Good?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Let me catch you up with where I think we are. We've had a couple different attempts, and these videos keep getting long, and I try and shorten them down as much as possible. Nothing worse than looking at a really long video. But I don't want to skip stuff that's going to be important. If you're trying to do this, you're going to want to see what works and what fails, right? So the transmission mounts, those went on easy. If we had to do that again, I bet we could do that in 20 minutes or less. You know, we weren't in a rush. We were trying to make it super fast, maybe faster, but you know. That part was easy. The engine mounts actually were kind of easy as well. The top bolts are easy to get to in our case with that intake. The bottom bolts are relatively easy to get to if you got a universal joint. You can lift the engine. I could get the old ones out because they were a little bit compressed. Now even our engine mount, the metal bracket that was broke, that wasn't that difficult to take out and put the new one in. The problem we're having right now is the fact that the new bushings, the engine mount bushings, the fact that they're taller, they're giving us a problem. We can't get this engine high enough because the engine actually starts touching this under portion here, and I can't get the engine high enough to get it under both pieces. So we try to, and the biggest problem I believe is the fact that the exhaust is still attached to this. Anytime you lift this car, we've tried with a jack under the oil pan with a board under there to kind of cushion it. When you lift it up that way, it lifts. Driver's side will come up higher than the passenger side. Again, the passenger side is where that exhaust manifold is. So it doesn't want to lift as high, right? So a jack underneath the oil pan, it comes up driver's side high. If I lift it with this cherry pick, it comes up driver's side high. And it's this passenger side that's staying low that I'm having problems getting that bushing in. So what we're gonna do next, I got a couple ideas in mind. We're gonna go ahead and lower the engine down and get the driver's side all lined up, that bushing lined up, and get at least nuts on there hand tight, just to lock that down. Now when I lift this, I'm hoping to really influence it to lift passenger side up. I'm trying to get it to pivot that direction. We've even, there's another YouTube guy does great BMW videos. His thing is the 50s Kids. Great videos, guy. You can hook a strap to this and pull that. That didn't help. That didn't come close. Actually didn't do anything. But so a couple options I got. One, again, we're going to go ahead and tie down the driver's side to try and isolate that, and so we can get it to pivot. I'm going to go ahead and cherry pick for just a little bit, see if that gives us the clearance. If not, I'll probably lower it down with this average height, and then I'm going to go with my floor hydraulic jack and actually get maybe a 2x4 or a 4x4 up through the bottom and actually go against that new motor mount bracket that we just put in and directly lift the passenger side of this. See if we can get it up high enough to get that bushing in. So that's kind of where we are. We can skip all that other video, and we'll see how this next piece works. Okay, we got this driver's side now it's tight and just snug, and so now we're going to try and lift again, see if we can get some passenger side lift on that engine. Yeah, I can see it. See how far that'll go up. And we'll stop there. Okay, by pulling that up that way, that gave us about another ½ inch. We're still a ½ inch or so away. Because the engine's hitting this intake duct for your fresh air, we're going to try and take this off, see if that'll give us that extra ½ inch.
So the key for this is because this bracket right here is slotted, is you're going to have to put the top in first. Alright, there we go.
Okay, using these old parts, I'm going to show you what Austin was just talking about. This is that hanger that sticks out like this, and this is the old bushing. This bushing is going to come in from this angle, and you can see where it's a round hole that way, but you can see this is chamfered out right there, allowing you to come in at an angle and get it in there and then rotate it this way. So the key is he's installing the top first and then dropping it down into the bottom piece. That's definitely how you're going to have to do this, because this shank right here is pretty long, and the only way to get it, you can't put it in the bottom first and bring it over. It just doesn't work. So that's that piece he was just talking about. Thought I'd clarify that. I think it's worthwhile to recap what made this successful, because we ran into a bunch of little tricks. So the very first thing is we did get the driver's side bushing installed and got the engine lowered back down on it and got those nuts top and bottom just started and leave them very, very loose. Because the next thing we did is we were able to jack it up by this jack stand here, this little mounting point, raise it up, and the whole engine would rise a little bit to make up that gap, and then it would actually cock. I could get this passenger side to raise more. That gave us about a ½ inch to ¾ of an inch extra height that we couldn't get otherwise, as well as we removed this entire breather section right here. When we did that, that gave us another about a ½ inch, and that was enough between that and that other piece that Austin mentioned about putting the bushing into the top bracket first and then swinging the bottom over and dropping it. Those three things were, if we had done all three of those, I just don't think we would have got it in there. My next course of action was going to be if we still were missing, a quarter inch or so, I was actually going to loosen those 4 bolts that hold that engine mount bracket to the engine. I was going to loosen those up. That allowed that bracket to slide up a little bit. That gave us a little bit more room, but I was hoping not to have to do that, and we didn't have to do that. So we've got it now setting back down. We're just going to we'll tighten off camber. We'll tighten tops and bottoms of that bushing, top and bottom of this bushing. We got to put this air filter piece back in. We got to put a tire back on, and then I think we are done. But I hope you enjoyed. Again, this is not professional garage here. We're just trying to figure all this stuff out. This is a cool car. This is the E46 2000 model 328. It's a fun car to work on. These Germans know what they're doing, I think. All the little connections and stuff. It's been a blast. It's 17 years old. Yeah, 17 years old. You got to expect things to kind of go wrong with this thing, but don't hesitate to try and attempt some of this stuff yourself, because the parts aren't that expensive. It's the labor, and if you can do the labor piece yourself. We essentially did this for the cost of those bushings, and then that bracket was $10. This was a $50-$60 repair. Took us a couple of days just because we just nickel and dime, a couple hours here, a couple hours there on it, but it really we probably saved $300-$400 maybe on labor if we'd have taken it somewhere to do that. And anyway, we just enjoy doing it and thought we'd share it with you. So if you happen to like some of this stuff, go ahead and like, comment, and subscribe. We'd love to have you. I do have a whole playlist on this car. I've got 5 or 6 videos, I believe, of different things that we've done to this specific car. If you want to check that out, this video will be the last video in that playlist. And we actually have one more plan. We're going to do the water pump and the thermostat on this car. We'll do that next, probably in a week or two. We'll get that out. And but I hope you decide to follow along. We appreciate it. Thank you. Wow. I mean, I know when we started it before, you could feel it, the whole engine shake when he started it, and that's gone now. Okay, so we've been out test driving this thing, and it is unbelievable how much smoother. All that vibration is gone. This thing drives like a brand new car. What I won't understand, I guess, completely is if it was truly the motor mounts or that broken bracket. Obviously, it'd be contributed to both. I mean, those motor mounts were really stiff and hard, so that would get rid of some of that vibration. And obviously, the broken bracket's a pretty bad ordeal as well, but it is unbelievable how well it drives now, though.